Hi everyone. Sorry about that. Some technical glitches. We'll continue from James' presentation. Yes.
My name is James, John James, and I'm a GSoC student for Oppia Foundation. And the title of my GSoC project is Static 7. And this project is all about returning plain HTML to the users. Before now, Ginger is what is currently used to deliver our pages. And the problem with Ginger is that all the pages needs to be compiled before being sent to the user. So there is some downtime in the compilation process. So after serving our pages statically, we are not going to have that downtime which was used for compilation, and all the pages are just going to be returned as they are. Next slide, please. Okay, so with Ginger, um, we have something called inheritance, which is when we use Ginger blocks to specify some locations where some markup are going to be inserted. Now that's a problem when going to static serving because that's such functionality is not exactly available in HTML. So using Angular, we have something called transclusion, which helps us achieve similar thing to what was achieved using the Ginger blocks. And now the work on this project is going to serve all pages using the transclusion components. So in the first milestone, I was able to serve all the static pages using the transclusion components and I think one or two dynamic pages. And I'm currently working on serving all the dynamic pages using the transclusion components. So one of the problems that will be faced when using static serving is that we need to find a way to send additional data to these pages, and that can easily be solved via Ajax. And the code base there's some markup which is used to send some other type of templates, interaction templates, dependencies, and some other rich text and some other markup. So currently we are going to work. I'm going to do that, achieve that using Webpack to send in those templates and those other dependencies. Next slide, please. So at the end of this project, we're going to have a Gingerless code base, which is a code base that will be very neat in terms of markup, and a code base that will be very fast because there will be no time spent in compiling all the views. So all the pages are going to be raw HTML and will be delivered down to the end user as it is. And towards the end of the first milestone, I was able to serve the pages via the app.yaml. So there's no need for any Python compilation or whatsoever. So once the user hits the URL, the HTML just gets delivered to the user's browser at once. And also this will definitely increase our speed. All the pages are going to be delivered very fast and will also increase some Lighthouse audit checks. So thank you very much. That's all about the Static 7 project. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Next, we have Nishil, who was working on upgrading our third-party libs. Uh, he is being mentored by Apoor and Sean. Over to Nishil.
Hello everyone, I'm Nishil, a computer science student at Karna University. So my project in Google Summer of Code is under the guidance of Apurva and Sean. The project about improving the third-party infrastructures of the code base, and that is done by upgrading all the third-party libraries into their latest stable version. There are many third-party services which Oppia uses, like Angular Material for its materialistic design, Eco Editor for its RTE, and Google App Engine for its deployment. So the latest version of these libraries will provide significant improvement in terms of speed, storage, and responsiveness. Also, the latest stable version of these libraries will be bug-free, which will definitely help us to fix some library-specific issues in our issue tracker. Next slide, please. So this was about my project. theme of the project is about third-party libraries, upgrading all the third parties library. And the main we have specified into minor and major libraries, which are like major libraries are like Bootstrap, Angular, CK Editor. Next slide, please. So this is our current progress of the third-party library. We successfully completed the first milestone in which, as I said, we have segregated into minor and major libraries. So in the first milestone, we have upgraded all the minor libraries and few major libraries like Code Mirror, Google Apps Extension, and Font Awesome. In the second milestone, we have Angular material migration and the Bootstrap migration to Bootstrap 4. I've raised a PR for Angular material migration and which is currently in testing phase. And further, I am working on a Bootstrap migration. So in my third milestone, we'll be upgrading the CK Editor 4 to CK Editor 5, which will be a major and significant view in terms of speed and responsiveness in the exploration editor. And we'll be having a completely new CK Editor structure, which is written in ES6 and which is all about the MVC architecture with custom data model. That will actually have a very good speed improvement in opening and closing of the exploration editor. And next slide, please. Hence, the end result of this project will be having all our node modules, third-party libraries, and Oppia tools up to date. We'll be leading towards the cutting-edge technologies of Bootstrap 4, which is on the Flex design. We'll have a new structure of RTE, and hence we'll make the code base completely ready for any new feature request. Thank you.
Thank you, Nishil. Next, we have Rishabh, whose project is based on improving the backend test coverage and also moving our code base to Python 3. He is being mentored by Apur. Over to Rishabh.
Hi everyone, my name is Vishal Chakraborty, and my GSoC project is improving backend test coverage and making our code base compatible with Python 3. Next slide, please. Yeah. So my project is basically divided into three parts. The first part is to improve our test coverage to 100%. So this is really important so that no breakage of code happens in the future. Because sometimes developers unknowingly write some code which break the existing code. So our code base will be fully supported with backend tests. The second part of the project is okay. So actually, the bullet points should be swapped back there. So anyway, second part of the project is to make our code base compatible with Python 3. This is a really important part of the project because Python 2 will no longer be maintained past 2020, and the migration needs to take place. And the third part of the project is converting the existing bash scripts to Python. This would make Oppia more OS independent, and yeah, it will also reduce the number of scripting language that Oppia uses. Next slide, please. So the progress so far. So all the backend files has like 100% test coverage except stats jobs one off. Well, at least all the all the tests for backend files have one open PR, and some miscellaneous files like which were tested before, but like currently they don't have 100% coverage due to absence of a coverage check at some point of time when a PR was merged, which decreased the coverage. And another is that coverage check is not implemented, which will ensure that a PR does not decrease coverage. So this check is provided by a service called Code Climate. So next slide, please. This is like a screenshot. So you can see that the code climate. This is like the PR is not fully covered, so that is why it is blocking the PR to be merged. And yeah, so and this code curve check was like previously we were using this, but now we have moved to code climate. So this code curve patch it will be removed soon. And next, let me. Okay, so the final product. So all backend files would have 100% test coverage, and there will be a check, and there is a check which is maintained by which will ensure that no untested PR goes in. Um, this check is provided by Code Climate, and the second part is that the code base supports both Python 2 and Python 3, and there will be line checks which will ensure that the code base remains compatible with both the Python versions, regardless of future PRs. And finally, there would be no bash scripts in our code base, and the existing bash scripts would be converted to Python. Thank you, everyone. That was my project.
Thank you, Rishabh. Next, we have Shichi, whose project is based on review tests and skill mastery. She's being mentored by Vinita. Over to Shichi.
Oh. Hi everyone, my name is Shiki. My GSoC project is review test and other improvements to the question framework. Next, please. The first part is the review test. It is added in the middle of the story player and it shows up after every 3 chapters or at the end of the story. After every review test, the test result will be calculated. And the score for each skill will also be shown in the result page. The result will be divided into 2 modes, pass or fail, according to the score for each skill. If the learner gets a score below 75% on one skill, he or she will fail the test. In the failing mode, the learner has to review the failed skills and retry the review test until passed. In the passing mode, the learner will be able to return to the story player to proceed his or her learning, or retry the review test to get a better score. Next, please. The second part is the skill mastery level. It will be calculated after each test, which includes the pre-test, practice session, and the review test. Learning tips will be given based on the skill mastery level and whether it's increased or decreased after the test, which checks whether the learner is good at the skill or not, and whether he is making progress or not. The question selection will also be improved by comparing the question skill difficulty level and the user's skill mastery level. For example, there's one skill with 2 questions which have difficulty 0.3 and 0.6, and the user has 70% of skill mastery. Then the question with difficulty 0.6 will be chosen. The learner can also have an overview on the skills and his mastery level for each one to decide which skill to improve on. Next slide, please. I'm done with my first part, review test. Here are some pictures to show its user interface right now. The first one is the question page for the review test. Learners are able to answer the questions and view hints when needed. The second and third ones are both the result page. If the learner passed the test, he will see the second page. There are 3 action buttons, so he can either retry the test or return to the story. If the learner failed the test, he will see the third page. There is only one choice: review the failed skills and retry the test. When the learner clicks on the button, a concept card model will show up. The learner will see the concept cards for failed skills one by one. Until the end, he can press retry button to start a new test.
Next slide, please.
The second part of my GSoC project is still in progress, so I'm showing the mocks I used in my model, in my proposal. There will be an icon near the skill score in the result page. When mouse over the icon, it will show the mastery level for that skill after the test and give a learning tip. I will also create a skill tab in the topic viewer to show the skills and their mastery levels, so the learners will be able to refer to it and decide which skill to practice and improve on. That's all I have today. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Shriti. Uh,
Thank you.
Next, we have Yash, who's upgrading a code base from AngularJS to Angular 8. He's being mentored by Kevin Lee. Yash.
Hi everybody, my name is Yash and I am participating in GSoC with the project of upgrading the front end from AngularJS to Angular 8. Next slide please. Next slide please. Yeah, so AngularJS has entered the LTS version. It means that it will be no longer be maintained actively and no new features will be added. It means that our code base will enter a stagnant state and therefore it will become obsolete. Also, AngularJS is not something that should be used because it has a lot of flexibility and which we can think it is an advantage, but it is a very big disadvantage because then we don't have any set of best practices to follow. So that's why we have a pre-migration state before the upgradation. The pre-migration state ensures that we follow the AngularJS best practices uh, in our code base. So as we know, the pre-migration stage has brought in many new features like TypeScript and Webpack, which has made our code base to a whole new level and also renewed the front end. Next slide, please. So about the progress, much of the pre-migration stuff is done. We have folders by features, which means that now previously what we had a whole folder and all the files of that page or that folder were listed under it. It was not categorized according to the features that the files represented. So now we have folders by features, and also we have introduced a new naming convention which makes it easier to follow the type of component that a file houses just by looking at its name. We have implemented component directives. It is the way forward to migration, and it also provides very good features like isolated scope, which makes the components reusable in every way. We also have implemented Webpack, which was done by Voita, and we have also done many refactoring things like the separation of constants into file. So now we have a separate constants file for every page or every feature we see. And also we have successfully hybridized our code base to use Angular JS side by side Angular 8. So this is one of the beginning phases or the most crucial phases of the upgrade. Next slide, please. So what we will get in the final result? In the final result, we will have a fully fledged Angular 8 app, which will be using all the best practices and all the latest technologies that can be used in an Angular 8 app. And also we will be getting rid of all the Angular JS code we have in our code base. Um, this will make our code base conform to the new best practices, and also we will be able to add any new features since Angular is constantly in development and also is actively maintained. Also, the transition will be complete without any disturbance to the user workflow, which means that the UI and the workflow which the developer experiences will never change, and also it will be the same, and we will try to have minimum disturbance to the main UI and the design of the app. This project is also very much dependent on all the projects which are handling the front end, like James project and Nishil's project. So it is a very much of a coordination between different projects. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Yash. Now we'll go ahead with questions. Please added to the link I've posted. Uh, I don't see any questions yet, so if you have any questions, please do add it. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any questions from the audience. So thank you all for attending, and please do leave your feedback at this and if you have any questions, please do add them. We'll wait for 5 minutes. If there are enough questions, cool then. Thank you all for attending. Thank you to the speakers.
Thanks.
See
Thank you, Nitish.
you next time.